Claiming only Ukraine wants peace, Vladimir Zelensky says he is ready for talks, but his preconditions are mounting up. Having first demanded a 30-day ceasefire, Zelensky now says he'll speak with no one else but the Russian president. That's as negotiations scheduled to kick off in Istanbul draw nearer.
The only one who is ready for a ceasefire is Ukraine. And that's me. This is the Russian narrative that I cannot supposedly talk to Putin. I cannot and have not forbidden myself anything.
Well, he seems to be the ultimate dodger and a really bad manipulator. The law that Vladimir Zelensky signed specifies exactly, word for word, the impossibility of holding any types of negotiations with the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. And that law is already a couple of years old, at least. It's been posted on an official website, and there could be absolutely no different interpretation. I mean, it's there in black and white that Vladimir Zelensky cannot hold any types of negotiations. Nevertheless, following Victory Day parade in Moscow, the Russian president announced that he is ready for direct negotiations with Ukraine in Istanbul on the 15th of May. Take a listen.
We propose that the authorities in Kiev should resume the negotiations that they interrupted at the end of 2022 and resume direct talks. And I stress, without any preconditions. We suggest starting without delay next Thursday, May 15th, in Istanbul, where they were held earlier and where they were interrupted.
Now, it's hard to gauge whether Zelensky and the so-called coalition of the willing were expecting such a response when they presented their ultimatum to the Russian president. From the latest, Zelensky announced that he will be meeting with Turkey's Erdogan in Ankara on the 15th of May and added that he will be waiting for Vladimir Putin there, and that's yet another attempt to dodge, because the Russian president clearly said that Moscow is ready for talks in Istanbul, a different Turkish city. Also, it's not yet clear who will represent Moscow at the talks and whether they will take place at all.
Yeah, what is the state of play there, Roman? Just to expand on that, we know the U.S. will be represented by State Secretary Marco Rubio. But what is Washington's stance in the run-up to tomorrow's negotiations, if they occur?
Well, President Donald Trump, when he took over the White House, he boasted that he will end the conflict rather quickly, saying that he needs 24 hours or so. He said it several times. And right now, it's been more than 100 days since the start of his presidency, and the settlement has still not been reached. So for the United States, it's probably paramount to make progress on this track, and that's probably why we're hearing statements slash ultimatums from them, like either you agree or we're getting out of the game.
The president has issued an ultimatum to both sides that without those direct talks, and if they don't occur quickly, then he believes that the United States ought to step back from this conflict, whatever that means, and just not be involved.
And then what about Europe when it comes to the negotiations? Political elites on the continent have been accused of attempting to stay relevant in any way possible.
Well, the so-called coalition of the willing can really do absolutely nothing at this point but to make grand speeches that, well, really have no substance. And that's probably because the rift between Brussels and Washington on the Ukrainian issue in particular continues to grow since Trump took office. Now, Emmanuel Macron said that Europe already did all it can to help Ukraine. By the way, one of Russia's demands is a complete demilitarization of Ukraine, and another is non-alignment with NATO. The French president, well, in his way to find some kind of a grand solution, he's offering completely the opposite, and that's NATO troops in Ukraine.
We had an army model that wasn't designed for high-intensity land conflicts. We gave everything we had. The war must end, and Ukraine must be in the best possible position to enter into negotiations that will make it possible to address territorial issues. Ukrainians themselves have the lucidity to acknowledge that they will not have the capacity to reclaim everything that has been taken since 2014. We can't leave Ukraine on its own. Since it will not be joining NATO, we are proposing reassurance forces. In other words, the allies who are willing will deploy forces far from the front line in key locations to carry out joint operations and demonstrate our solidarity.
So nothing has really changed in the rhetoric regarding the conflict in Ukraine. Russia stands firmly on its demands outlined by President Vladimir Putin at the very start of the special military operation. Since then, billions upon billions of dollars in aid and military assistance from the West have disappeared in the Ukrainian abyss. Will the cash continue to flow? Well, probably, but Kiev's masters are already hinting that Ukraine's demands to return to the borders of 2014 are probably a non-starter.